If you've ever passingly wondered at the strange way the Beatles administration and the Jeffing Corporation came after me instead of Gail Burston, and ask yourself if the settlers running amok in places like Gaza and Lebanon could be related, since the letters came from a kibbutz called Group Shimshon from Gail Burston to me as a child. The obsession with attacking me rather than solving the mystery and establishing jurisdiction over the behavior of these masses through government authority. If you ever wondered the passing strange of the British refusal to do that, are these things related? I'll show you how Lenin's macabre mystery case locked in the power of the people who the British claim killed him. It goes back to the idea that Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh, Pitt administration, and Eastminster District, Peabody High School, and the East End Cooperative Ministry, the Pittsburgh Theological Seminar, and Highland Park are themselves the headquarters of the psychological operation coming from this cabal, this cubicle, this kibbutz that has taken over a starship that they call Israel, which is just full of malicious berserkers. Is this the psychological headquarters of Israel, this University of Pittsburgh thingamajig? We know that they had the Vienna Circle there, and Holocaust survivors of great intellectual standing. Germans born in Cologne, like Adolf Grunbaum, in logical positivism, and they fomented not only the great museum heist of John Schulman Caliban books, but the Texas school book itself. So they obviously took the idea of Pittsburgh public schools very seriously as an antithetical priority of civilization that they didn't want to have any tolerance for. If indeed this is the psychological headquarters of Israel in the United States, attacking the United States, then we live in a very difficult world, because Ian Wattenmaker not only is responsible for the baptism of Jimmy Crary in a seaman party when he was 9 years old, when he was asleep as a trophy American. He also took me to the incredible two-headed transplant, which has a criminal saying to a heroic individual with Down syndrome, and now I've got to teach us more on how to walk. The Israelis are teaching America how to walk, having Texas school book assassinated King and Kennedy. Wanmaker asked me if his father could hypnotize me. His father turned out to be a psychiatrist from the Attica State Prison, administrative staff. Now, David Wecht and I got into it. He's a judge in that area, because he was saying how the Jewish should teach their children very young about the Holocaust. And I said, I went through your special education, Wecht. You kidnapped, tortured, and gassed me in King's heavenly estate. You're just traumatizing children. And for some mysterious reason at the sheriff's office, he won the argument. Ian used to brag about going to Israel and groping women from the van that he was riding around berserking. When they kidnapped me, they said that some cars in those days had starter buttons that didn't shut all the way off. Edith Wattenmaker had one. They told me, look for the lips. And it was all a ghoulish obsession with virginity, it turned out, because these lopers from the Central Intelligence Agency, like John Stockwell with his list, believe only in an animal kingdom. And they want to disavow the idea that people have courtesy and modesty. So they hated my grandparents who were married 66 years. So Ian asked me once, "What would you do?" You know, the last name Wattenmaker is like rotten maker. You know, that's what the Grizzlies of the Dachau camp came up with. He said, "What would you do if you were this was your last day on Earth and you knew it?" And I was like, "What's the power of suggestion in there?" I remember thinking he's using power of suggestion, made me want to go out and pillage. And he'd say, "Step on a crack, break your mother's back." How Israeli that is. So they brought over marijuana with from the shop administration when I was a baby, and then dug a whole pothole outside Elizabeth. And I went down holding my cap with one hand and cracked up. And Ian thought it was the funniest thing in the world to see my face all straight to my teeth broken. And Gail Burson sent me a rabbit image about my caps. So we know with Elizabeth's friend Jenny Rubin was indentured too, because that was the image on the Neva Corporation that they sent in with armed men to make sure I didn't get to go to school. It's like Jerry Rubin too. They would taser the children with Down syndrome down there at King's Heavenly Estate. So we know that Ted Nugent is the ideal, and his idea of modesty and courtesy trumps JFK. So the South will rise again when there's no more room in hell. The South will rise again. So when they finagled the adultery and a dare clock to their production system, Becker and the landlords said, whoosh. They invented a go game for the oh, pity the hapless, the Sotheby's hapless, who we have earmarked for special extermination curiosity values. And all of this comes from, I reported Leon Botstein decades ago. They come up with, oh, we're going to remove him as president. Day before yesterday, I reported him decades ago, just like it took them 12 years to look into Schulman, because they are the headquarters of the Israeli cranks and their mentality, saying, oh, we're a society of devils. So they go out and release the Epstein tape. Come get the Epstein tapes. They dangle it like a fish. Come get the Epstein tapes. They're like Pink Floyd. That's all right. We know what you dreamed. With Tommy Robinson in backlash mode against the society of devils. And the Neva Corporation comes into the schools. And Casper, Ronnie and Casper, like Reagan and Weinberger taught me, Zinski and Owski. He says, I'll squeeze your head so hard your nose will pop off. That's what it felt like, too. And I told Tim Menes about it, and he made a barking pumpkin laugh of me, because the only thing that the Beatles want to do is protect the people who they say killed John Lennon. They locked the gate on perception by saying Lennon died, but he was behind the whole thing. You'll find out someday. What's the difference between him being behind the whole thing and being responsible for the success of the operation? People said, we all know it's top secret, but they overlooked that it was top secret. Get it? So how did they pull it together to get everybody to go along with it? Was they got people like Patty Murray all catty about the Prom Queens. It was the same production system that produced the movie Carrie, with her mind doing things, because they use me as a relay station involuntarily. Set things off to my poetry. Now, Carrie and Midori Goto were working together, and there's no doubt that Sissy Spacek knew all about John Lennon's Houdini. She knew all about it. She was in on it with Oliver Stone. And Midori Goto says, "No, we both love John Lennon, and the queer ball is to blame. So we're going to team up with Watmaker and put a neuroplasm in your and then tie you with the girl who you love."